Welcome everybody to Forza Motorsport 7, and today we're taking a look at the 2018 Kia Stinger, or to give it its full name, the Stinger GT. And yeah, this car is a revelation, quite frankly. I never thought I'd say this about a Kia, but it's genuinely great. And yeah, there's a lot to talk about, quite frankly. So yeah, it started production in 2017, and is a mid-sized 5-door liftback. And by liftback I mean hatchback. So yeah, 5 doors, as you can see. For a really rather practical vehicle, meaning you can get plenty in the back as well as if you fall down the rear seats. So yeah, as far as engineering goes with this car, it's got everything that you'd expect from a sports saloon. It's got Brembo brakes, it's got Michelin tyres, it's got sporty suspension, it's got a really rather powerful engine, though not the biggest you'll see in a car in this class, but that's not a detriment against it. And yeah, as you can see from the body styling, it's got vents, it's got, you know, on the side as well, it's got grills, it's got nice wheels, it's got quad exhausts, and thankfully it doesn't have a spoiler that comes up at a certain speed, which so many sports saloons have, and quite frankly is rather annoying. But yeah, just to see where this car is coming from, I'm just going to quote you what one of the chief designers of this Kia said. Basically said, the new Kia Stinger is a true Gran Turismo car for spirited long distance. It's not about outright power, hard-edge dynamics and brutal styling, all at the expense of luxury, comfort and grace. The Stinger has nothing to do with being the first to arrive at the destination. This car is all about the journey, and that is something I've long said about cars in general, quite frankly. It's not about the end result, it's not about how quickly you can get somewhere or how fast you can go around a corner, it's how much you enjoy driving it. And yeah, this car is really rather enjoyable to drive, and decently fast as well, which is primarily down to the engine, which is pretty good as well actually. It's a 3.3 litre V6 engine which has 2 turbochargers, producing 365 horsepower and 376 pounds-feet of torque, which, granted, is not the most powerful in a car class like this. It's certainly a lot less than the Alfa Romeo Giulia, or a BMW M5, or even a Maserati, what is it? I can't remember now. That Maserati 4-door that came out a few years ago. Not the Quattroporte, but it also does have less power than that. But nonetheless, it's got a decent amount of power, and from the quote that I spoke of earlier, obviously speaks into the design of the vehicle and what they want from the vehicle overall. It's not about maximum amount of power, it's about enough power to make you you know, at least enjoy the vehicle and be able to go at a fairly decent speed. So yeah, they extensively tested this car at the Korea International Circuit and Nürburgring. They did 10,000 kilometers at the Nürburgring, which is a fair amount. And yeah, you can even get an all-wheel drive version of this in America only, unfortunately, but I imagine it's still pretty sharpish, even with that all-wheel drive adding a bit of extra weight. And yeah, it's also only available with an 8-speed automatic gearbox, which kind of does go against it being a proper driver's vehicle, but I think it more than makes up for it with its handling and speed, and also the noise of the engine, which is absolutely really good. So yeah, to see what this car really is like to drive, we're going to take it out onto the circuit and see what it can do. So see you when we get there. Right, we're at the Suzuka circuit for 2 laps. I think this is a pretty solid track to show off what this car can do, not just in terms of straight lines performance, but also in terms of cornering. So yeah, pretty nice sounding V6. Certainly far nicer than I was expecting it to sound, considering, you know, we've never had a Kia before that has an engine that you'd really want to listen to. So yeah, it's really good in terms of the engine, which not only gives it plenty of power, but a really nice sounding sporty sound. And the handling is really rather good, quite frankly, and not just for a Kia either. Quite frankly, this could easily rival cars that have way more power than it, to be honest. No, it's not perfect, but if you act with it smoothly and calmly and don't push it too hard, it will easily fly around corners, no problem whatsoever, and do it in pretty sharpish fashion as well. And I guess it should be no surprise that this car is actually really rather good in terms of handling, because it was partly engineered by a former BMW M vice president. So yeah, he's shown us a thing or two about making sporty saloon cars, or sporty cars in general, to be honest. It's got a hint of understeer to tell you that you're pushing it a little bit too much out of the corner. But outside of that, it's really, really rather good in terms of handling. And yeah, I'm not just saying this because obviously it's a Kia. You could have put a Ferrari badge or a Maserati badge on this and I would have said the exact same thing, because it is a really good handling vehicle. And that engine is really nice just to listen to. Again, not the most powerful out there, but it's enough power. Most cars these days with 500, 600 horsepower, you're not going to be using that power anywhere near the amount of that power most of the time. So this having less than 400 horsepower out of a V6 twin turbo is more than enough, and obviously means with it being only a V6 and turbocharged, it's going to be more economical than your V8s and your even more powerful vehicles than that. So yeah, might not have the power, but it's a solid compromise between power and everyday performance and economy as well. And that's also helped by the fact that this car doesn't weigh all that much. It only weighs 3,750 pounds, which is way less than your equivalent M5 or your Audi RS cars or even Maserati. So yeah, solid car in terms of all of that lot. And because obviously the engine does have a fair amount of power and is not dragging too much weight around, its acceleration times are really good as well. 0 to 16 4.9 seconds. 0 to 100 in 11.6, and it went to a top speed of 184 miles an hour. 184 miles an hour in a Kia. Now that is pretty damn good. Now obviously if you do poke it with a stick, the handling does get a little bit oversteery, but that's to be expected from a sports saloon. That is rear wheel drive. I imagine the all wheel drive version will be a little bit more tame, but might well have more understeer than this one does. Well, I can't really comment on that, because we don't have the all-wheel drive version in this game, and it is obviously only an American option. So yeah, overall I'm hugely impressed by this car, and I do hope that it is a success for Kia, and it does mean that they can build upon it, because as a starting block this is excellent, and hopefully it builds the foundations for Kia well and truly coming into the sports car market and giving everyone else a run for their money. And quite frankly, outside of the grille at the front, which I'm not a massive fan of, this is practically perfect. Yes, it could be more powerful. Yes, it could be lighter. Yes, it could have, you know, some huge amount of huge engine with supercharger or something like that on it. But at the end of the day, it's what you can use every day that Kia are going for. And going back to that quote, it's, you know, more about the journey rather than the getting to the destination quicker than everyone else. And this car does make for even being on this game nice journeys. So yeah, and quite frankly this car could be a bit of a sleeper. Quite frankly, nobody's going to expect a Kia to be this kind of speed at this kind of acceleration. So if you want something a little bit more unique, a little bit more, you know, left of field, go for one of these. Nobody will be expecting it to be as quick as it is. Granted, it's not the fastest to 100 mile an hour, but 0 to 60 time really isn't too shabby for a rear wheel drive car with less than 400 horsepower. So yeah, fully impressed by it, and I'm really, really glad it's in the game. It's about time we had a sporty Kia, and I'm really glad that it's finally in this game. And hopefully it means that we get more, you know, weirder kind of cars, more, you know, rarer kind of cars like this, because I really doubt it's going to, you know, be a huge success. But hopefully the lesser models with the inline 4 2-litre turbocharged engine and a diesel engine that is also available with this car will support this more high-powered version, and hopefully make it a success overall. And I look forward to seeing what else Kia can do, because for a first car that is a sports car, they've done an amazing job. Yes, maybe it's somewhat down to the fact they've got a BMW M guy in engineering and a couple of chief designers that have really focused on what really matters when driving a car, but you know, I'm not really going to slate them for that. you bring in the best people you can from when you want to design your first sports car, and they've done that, and my hat's off to them. Anyway, I do recommend driving this car if you've not got the car pack, or if you've got the car pack, just get it, because it's well worth it. And yeah, it's easily the best modern car out of the car pack, and certainly gives their other sports saloons a run for their money, quite frankly, because personally I'm not a massive fan of the new M5 or some new Audis, and this is just a little bit more back to basics, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.